Good morning. I am Jill Aronofsky, and I am coming to you from the tiny island of Saipan. I am going to do 4 cards with you today using a template. The template's from last year's Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. I'm using mostly current products from the Kintsugi Suite, Peace on Earth, and Beautiful Gallery. All great bundles or suites. um, I really love the templates, and the more I use them, the more I get addicted to using them. So we'll see where this leads. But if you enjoy seeing the card templates and the products that come from them, let me know, and I'll keep at it. So let us begin with getting started on the stamping. Hold on, having a little brain freeze this morning. Welcome, welcome. This is taking longer than usual. There we go. Okay, here is our template for today. It is also a template from last year's 24 to 25 Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. And this one is also fairly simple. The last one I did was fairly simple. It works for me because I find I end up changing it a lot, but that's the whole point of the template for me. Um, it's just an inspiration. So this one has the square, a banner of sorts in the back, some string or ribbon, and I'll show you where this takes me. I'm going to try to leave it in sight as much as I can and bring it back to you. So let's get started on the first card. The first one, I'm going to use the Inspiring Imperfections. I just received the stamp set. I've been playing with the paper for a while. Just love it. I hope you love it as much as I do. I have pre-cut my pieces so I can do a lot with you today. And the only thing we're going to use from this stamp set is just this one here. And I've already put it on a block. And I did use this tiny little floral to go with it. So let's get started. Base, regular A2 size. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that, which is always crowded. As you can see from the initial introduction, not as hidden and organized as some people's stamp rooms, but I like my room this way, so I'm not going to apologize for it. I have Sugi paper. It's got the gold foiling on it, very pretty. And when I cut a little extra 1/2 inch by 4 that I'm going to put on the inside. This will go down here when I do my saying, and this is for the inside of the card. So I have made a banner, and I have followed this one pretty much directly according to these measurements. So I've done a banner. It started out at 3.5. I punched the edge. You can do it by hand by taking your scissors, cutting to the middle, and then cutting from the edge each way to make your own banner. If you don't have a punch or something that does it for you, my punch is from Stampin' Up. They no longer carry it, sad to say. So then I also have a 2.25 inch. That's the Midnight Misty Moonlight. Did I call it something else earlier? Probably. And then I just took off like 1/8 of an inch for my white. Just to make it a little bit smaller, I just wanted a tiny border. So the only thing we're going to stamp is this. Thanks for helping me through this difficult time. And it's got the little flower on it. It's a very nice saying. We haven't had one like this. And I think this is so much needed in today's world. There's a lot of people suffering and it's a little difficult. So to make sure I get this in the middle, I'm just going to put it on my darker piece of paper. So I have the outline and press down. Ta-da. I just took a couple of blends. I wanted to give it a little bit of color because it doesn't really, it just looks more like a scribble to me than flowers or something. So I have my light wild wheat because I think that matches the gold color pretty well. I'm just gonna put a little bit here. We're gonna make this into a flower, all right? And then I'm also gonna do a little bit of the blue. So I have a very, very old, when the blends first came out, they came out in light, medium, and dark. Now we have two colors. So I'm going to do the light one. Just add this here so I have both colors and then add a little bit of darkness just for a touch of depth in there. So easy peasy coloring. Put my ink pad away so I'm not wearing misty moonlight for the rest of the day. Oh, I might need it for the inside. Nope, nothing on the inside. Yes, that's my rule with thank you cards, is that you, if you're going to write a card and say thank you to someone, I think you should actually have a heartfelt saying on the inside. I think having a pre-written saying is just not as meaningful. That's my take on it. So now I'm ready to assemble these pieces already. So I'm going to start with my base, put some glue on the bottom of, on the back of my lovely designer series paper. Sometimes I can't figure out if there's a right side up, but if I can't figure it out, probably the recipient isn't going to be looking that close either. So then this, okay, I already put adhesive on here. I'm going to leave it. Okay. I am going to put dimensionals behind here. I'm already making things interesting for myself. And I want a little bit more lift behind here as well, because it's a very simple card and I want it to be a little extra. Before I put these on here, I'm going to put a ribbon behind like it has here. So even though I've got this, I think I need to, see, I want it about this long. So I'm just going to go back and forth, trying to keep each piece that long. No problem. And that'll go back down to the middle. So I'm going to lay this down here diagonally and get a little piece of tear and tape and secure that down. So because I made my ribbons so big, I probably am going to have a hard time putting this way up here. So I did decide to move it down a little bit just for this. So it just looks better with the ribbon because I put a very large ribbon back down here. So I'm going to put it pretty much in the middle, maybe a little up. Make sure my dimensionals are sticking and then take this off. So pretty easy so far. It's the beautiful paper, this sweet, that just makes things so easy for me. And stick this in the middle. Really stick. So that's it. And this is our template. So I think I followed it pretty spot on, or as spot on as it will allow me. And then for the inside, we're going to leave that blank so they can write some lovely words. I got 2 cards this week from people I love dearly and don't hear from as much. So I love sending cards. It's a wonderful thing to do. Receiving them is even nicer because I'm just so happy about hearing from these 2 ladies that are in my life, but that I don't connect with that often. The card making really fills my heart to be able to make a card and send it to somebody. So I highly recommend. I put glue dots, 1 in each corner for the inside. And there we go. Just to bring the whole thing together with the little bit of designer series paper, I think it makes a big impact. And then on my envelope, if I use liquid glue when I do this, I definitely let it sit before I, fold up the card or put something on top of it, because the liquid glue, if you're heavy-handed, can activate this adhesive and make your envelope stick together. That's just my experience speaking. You'll have to try it for yourselves and see how it works, but I just cover the back flap of the envelope. You could also stamp something on the front, but I don't usually think of it right away, and it's easier for me to grab a piece of paper and just glue it on, turn it over, cut the edges. This is a 6 by 2. This is a 6-inch by 2 3/8. So there you go, a lovely little card and envelope to send. And I followed the sketch. So let's see how we do on the next one. This one uses the Peace on Earth, and I think this is not available until the September catalog. Um, the September catalog comes out obviously to customers in September, but if you're a demonstrator or if you sign up to be a demonstrator, you can get everything a month ahead of time. So that's what us demonstrators do. It's I get a discount on my products. I just don't know how they could make life any better for me to do all this. I very much enjoy this. So with this one, we're going to use with deepest sympathy. I've made most of these into sympathy cards today because they are in high demand where I live. Deaths, when there are deaths, there are certain practices that the local people follow, and it's quite involved and quite an honor to the deceased. So sympathy cards are very popular. This is a pecan pie card base. We're going to start with this. And usually I will do a 4 by 5 1/4 and leave a border on here. But today I think I'm just going to cover the whole thing up just to be a little different. You can do whichever you like. If you do that by 4 by 5 1/4, you can get 6 pieces out of a single sheet of DSP, designer series paper, which is why I usually do that, because it's more paper thrifty. But sometimes the paper is just so beautiful. Okay, so we're starting with this. I'm going to use some of my little brass butterflies. And This is for the inside, so I'm going to go ahead and set that aside for the moment. I'm going to need this to build it though, won't I? Put this here. Okay, so I have cut, this is petal pink. I've cut a Calypso coral 2 by 4 1/4, and I've cut this down just like 1/8 of an inch to use here. And then instead of using a banner, I had some, when I got my card base out, I found this it had already been through the corrugated folder. It was just sitting inside there. So I decided to cut it up to the similar dimensions, and I'm going to put this behind here. So I did decide not to put a ribbon behind it, but stay with me. And then as I'm playing with this, I thought maybe it would be fun to do this. So I'm going to give that a try. I've got my Compi ink pad. We're going to use the With Deepest Sympathy. And me. Okay. Hopefully that's not messing up. Sorry, somebody's calling on my phone because I did not put my disturb on today. Shame, shame. I am also going to put acing on the inside. So let me stamp that now since I have my paper open, my ink pad open. So this sending heartfelt prayers is also from here. Peace on earth. You have the sending and heartfelt prayers. So there we go. Put that aside. Close this up. Okay. I also have my little piece of paper that I do on here. I do this a lot. I think it's kind of like one of the little signature things I do. If you don't like to do it or you like to decorate something or leave it undecorated, it's all your choice. This is the Jill way. Turn it over and just cut the excess. It gives me a good way also to use up the little scraps that I put back into, when I've cut my paper for something. Okay, so goodness sake, now I'm hiding things from myself. What did I just do with that piece of paper? Really? Okay, looks like I'll be stamping a new one. Okay, got it. Don't know what happened there, but I'm good now. So let's keep going. All right, so now we're ready to assemble this. I'm going to put glue behind here so that I don't flatten it out by using my Seal Plus. I use my grid paper a lot for making sure I get things straight. So underneath my surface, usually grid paper. And then let us put this here. Corner to corner. And put some dimensionals on here. I do love dimensionals. So, take a big breath. It's been a heck of a week, let me tell you. I am going to add a few little brass butterflies because this saying was not as big, so I don't want to leave an empty space.
And I think butterflies are a good symbol of losing someone too. Okay, so there. It gives a little bit of um, sparkle, and that is the finished card. Oh, after we put the inside on. I'm not going to show you how to do the envelope on all of these, but I cut the piece all the time and I have my envelopes match like that. So my apologies for a little craziness this morning. It's been a rough week. It has been raining. We were scheduled to get a typhoon. We're hoping that it goes the other way, but the rain is starting to hit. Um, it just happens, and that's the cost of living in paradise. So here's our second card. Didn't exactly follow this, but we have the banner, the square, and then we just turned the other square and left the ribbon off. So a different look. I think if people look at the two cards, they're not going to think, oh, they're all the same. They do look different enough. So let me pull out the supplies for the next one and we will keep going. Whoop, crash, boom. It is going to be one of those days. Okay, this next one, I'm going to use some basic beige. And I also use some shimmery dots on this one. So this is the beautiful gallery paper. And it really is stunning. And it's so different than some of the papers that Stampin' Up offers. It's a totally different style. The color combination is just gorgeous. And it's just really different. Sometimes the new colors come out and I'm like, not that different. Okay, so this is a 6x6 paper, and I think that to maximize my use of this paper, I want to get enough for the front. I want to have enough to do my envelope, and I want a little piece for the inside, and this works perfectly. So I want 4 inches. I want this to be the bottom part of my card. I want it to be the front. So I'm going to cut it and turn it upside down so I have the 4-inch section over here. And then put it over to 4 inches. And I'm going to cut it down. This is a little short for the envelope, but I'm going to show you how to fix that. And then for the inside, we want at 5¼ Take that. This is going to be our inside. So this should work out to be the most paper efficient use of a 6x6. I get my card, I get the inside decoration, and I get the envelope. So let me put this on, and this is the inside. I'm going to put that aside. Let's get some glue on this, put it on the front. I want those flowers down in the bottom. I am opening these differently. This is a 4¼ by 11, so that the fold is at the top, just to switch things up a little. I'm also taking a corrugated piece. This is Mossy Meadow cardstock. And I'm going to put it all the way around. This one just does a little banner with space on the outside. I'm not good at following rules. That's not true. I love rules, just not rules about paper. I'm going to put this here. And then I'm also switching the shape of the box. I have a saying that I want to use: with deepest sympathy. And this comes from the Something Fancy stamp set. with deepest sympathy. I love the word sets. It just, I love the words. I love big words. I love all the words. Okay, with deepest sympathy, just going to center this on here. Make sure it's well inked. Ta-da! So this one's pretty simple. I'm going to use that Mossy Meadow again. Flip this over and put some dimensionals. Oops, 1, 2, 3. And go ahead and lift that on there. I just love the way these colors are so muted. So I wanted to put a ribbon on, but I didn't want to put one behind it. So I'm going to tie a bow, and this is the basic beige ribbon. And if I tie a bow, it just seems kind of clunky and big for this card. So I'm going to take the amount I need. I kind of do my little rabbit ears and then cut that bunch. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut up the middle. And sometimes I try to be real exact on this, and then I'm like, nah, just cut up the middle, because I'm going to take some of those extra strings in there that are going to fray anyways, and I'm going to pull them apart, and you'll see what I mean in just a moment. Okay, well, this is the worst that I've ever done. Here we go. One's very skinny. Still going to take these couple of strings off the edges here, because they're going to come out anyways. There, take those off, and then it gives you a little frayed edge and makes a mess. Yay for messes. And this one also. So obviously this half's bigger. That's what I get for doing it on camera. I'm just going to pull a couple of these out and take that off. You can even use your pick tool to get a couple more. There. So, and then you have two pieces. So you can tie two ribbons instead of just one ribbon with this length of ribbon. So I could put them both together and tie a ribbon, or you could use them separately. Let's just tie one and see what it looks like and see if that's what we want to use. But it also looks more rustic because you've got those rough edges. I have started cutting a lot of my ribbons in half because I just like the way it looks. And it's different, and it's also thrifty. There. It's like such a messy ribbon, but I love it. So I'm just going to pull my edges. There's no such thing as perfect bows. If you don't like to tie bows, it's just because you realize that it's not a hard thing to do. It just requires a little fiddling once you get it done to get the top part and the bottom part looking good. There, that's it. I think that's a much nicer bow than to have a clunkier ribbon. So I'm just going to put and I think it fits with the vintage feel of these papers. There. So I like the way that looks. You can tell me if you like it, if you tried cutting the ribbon in half like that. So now our inside, I think we need to put a saying in here. And I have kept some of my very oldest. Look, a wooden stamp. Yes, I still have them. If they have a really great saying, I keep it because I love to make cards and I want the best saying. So this one says, "May God's love heal your sorrow, and may his peace replace your heartache with warm and loving memories." I could not possibly say something as eloquent as that. So there it is. I think it's always hard to send a sympathy card, but it's so meaningful. And so I've learned to really embrace the need for them and the reason for letting people know, not only immediately after they lose somebody, but a couple months down the road, sending another card to check in with them and see how they're doing, because it may get easier, but it doesn't get easier for a long time. And I think a lot of people feel forgotten after the event. Okay, so glue dots to put this in there. And it's easier for me to hold upside down. Stick that in there. Now the envelope on this one, if you put this on here, you can see that it falls a little bit short. And that's fine. So if you want, you could always cut them at 2 inches. And then I just take the Stampin' Seal and put it down both edges and go ahead and stick it on. When you're using the Stampin' Seal, you better be sure you got it where you want it, because it's a permanent decision. And then cut around here. Now, I know some people just go ahead and leave that bit there because it's against the white anyway, so you don't really notice it, and you probably wouldn't notice it, but I just take a little extra and go ahead and cut that off so that it looks like that's the way the flap is, how it came. And there. So I've used the 1 6x6 piece of paper, and it doesn't exactly follow it, but you can see where it's coming from. It's got the ribbon, it's got the straight layer, and it's got like the focal point in there. So that is that one. And the last one is, I think, my favorite. And it uses not only the Gallery Blooms paper, but it uses the stamp set. I, for some reason, have just fallen in love with this stamp. Love it. And I couldn't wait to get it. And of course, it took forever to arrive to my tiny little island. Okay, I already have my envelope done on this way, and it was done the same way with the 2 inches. So I took my adhesive straight across and then trimmed it down. So here is what we need for this card. I'm using little metallic gems. Oh, I forgot to put these gems here. Let's go back a moment. You mustn't leave an ungemmed card. I'm going to put a little bit of sparkle on here because it is a sympathy card and we don't want it to feel too sad. I know that sounds so stupid, doesn't it? There we go. Just to add a little bit of sparkle to that. Okay, back to this. I have already colored one of these because I did not want to go through the whole coloring here, but let me show you how that goes first. And I'm not going to color the whole thing, but I will show you what I did. I have this, and I didn't want to use black. I thought that using espresso might be a little gentler color with this color palette. So I am using, I tell everybody if the stamp's large, you put the ink pad on top instead of the other way around, and then I didn't do it. I'm wondering why it's no good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and press it down here. And I did get a little bit of smudging, a little bit of bleeding with this, but it didn't come out looking too bad. So I used Mossy Meadow on the leaves. I used the light one first. And I think I use the big tip. I don't usually use the big tip because it's hard to be too careful with it. So, and as you can see, I leave white space and this one. And I think that's all. Oh, one more. And then I add a little bit of dark over in the, oh, not with that end because that end doesn't work anymore. A little bit down here, darken things up at the base and in the shadow areas. And then I use the petal pink, dark petal pink and dark petal pink. Okay, that's my whole choice on that one. I find that my lighter color blends dry out quicker, don't last as long as the darker colors. But I love the light colors and I wish they'd have more designer series paper in the lighter colors as well. I don't think we get enough of the, they say it's pastel, but just light colors, just lighten things up a little. So then because I just have the dark, if I wait till this dry and add a little bit more, you'll get a little bit more shading from it. So then put this on and run it through. So that's what I did for coloring this. And we're doing the same thing with, well, a similar thing with this. I'm going to fold my Mossy Meadow card base in half again. Same, it's got the fold at the top. This is for the inside saying. And then this is going to be for the front. So this one I want, doesn't really have like a up and a down, but I want the longer to go this way. So I'm going to do 4 inches here. I'm going to have 2 inches left for my envelope. And I wanted it to go all the way to the bottom. So I want it to go, I want 4 by 5.5 inches. So we'll go have a border on the sides, but not on the top and bottom. So it's going to go all the way from the top down to the bottom. It just makes it, yeah, a little bit different. I know nobody will notice it but me, but it makes me happy, so I do it. Glue. Yikes. Turn this over and put it down. Okay. So I'm lining it up with a fold, and I do it mostly by feel. And if I need to move it just a squidge, the liquid glue allows that. And then I just turn it over, and if it's hanging over, I can trim off the end. So we've got this, and we've got this, and I think I am missing a little piece of, oh, well, there's Mossy Meadow here. Lucky I don't clean up my desk. I'm going to make it, let's see, let's make it an inch. And goodness, you wouldn't know I prepared for almost a full day for this thing because I am always missing some little gem. So this is the punch that I use. This is a banner punch that Stampin' Up had a while back. If you'd like to see one, ask them to put another one out because I really love it. And you just put it in here and it pops that off. Go a little bit more on this one. And it's got different, it's got like 1 inch, 1.5, 1 1/4, 1.5, something like that. So it's a pretty versatile punch. So that's a little bit long. I'm just going to cut one more a little bit so that it doesn't stick off the edge of my card. Okay. So that's going to go underneath, and then I'm going to do my saying with deepest sympathy. I'm going to use the same one we did before. Ooh. Finger on the ink pad. Are there any mistakes left that I haven't made today? Ay, ay, ay. Okay. So for template, wow, I have moved that. Okay. You know what the template looked like. The template looked like the other cards. This time, instead of having the banner up here and the square in the middle, I'm moving it down and I'm putting this down here. And I think this still sort of fits the template idea. I punched both of these. This is a basic beige and a mossy meadow. And then what you do to get an outline is just cut this one in half, and you can put it on like this. This one I find, so what I do is take a piece of adhesive on both sides where I'm going to adhere it, put it down on the table, and then try to get that nice border. And then it'll stick to it. It's easier for me to see and hold rather than holding them both up in the air and trying to get them straight. So there. So sometimes you can see like a little tiny, that's not going to help. You can see a little tiny bit of green. So I just take my scissors and kind of make sure that if there's like a little tiny pointy end, you can just trim it. And it looks totally normal. And ours is going to go on a mossy meadow anyway, so that probably wasn't necessary, but if you're using an opposing color, you could do that. So I want to put dimensionals, I think, behind here, so that when I put this down, I can get it underneath. And I would love to know what you all are working on or what your favorite stamp set is. So let me know. I am constantly making cards. Make sure that's not attached before I put it down. And then put this here. And I think I'll put that down flat with a piece of tear and tape to make sure that stays. When you can see I've put the tear and tape just over the edge, but when I take the backing off, the backing's hard to come off. It means you haven't pressed it down hard enough. If I've got the tape sticking over the edge, I just fold it, no problem at all. Go ahead and put this on here. I just center it in the middle up and down, and a little bit off to the right because I'm going to have my flower off to the left. I just really love this flower, and it's stamped on the basic beige, so it gives a little bit of a different look to it. I really love the color scheme of this. I don't usually use different background colors for my stamping. Usually stick to the white paper. So that's that. And then I just wanted to add a couple little gems. So maybe down here. And out. And then let's see, for the inside, I have my little piece of paper here, just like I had before. I'm not going to glue it on until I stamp my saying, because that'll be the time that I don't do my saying properly. It'll have a word missing or be crooked. So always, I never adhere anything until I have all my pieces because it's so easy to, much easier to correct it that way than if you've got it all together and then you have to pull something apart. That's that's just too hard for me. Okay, so we are nearing it, and I'm gonna show you the other cards all together so you can see the envelope on this one is done just the same way as I did the last one with a 2-inch piece. And then you trim off the 2 designer series paper edges. We can also put another ribbon on here. I would do the same thing with this one. Go ahead and cut it. Let's see if this one's any more successful now that I've practiced, but I doubt it. The thing I like about just tearing the middle strings out of this is that you don't have to cut it like in between threads or try to get all super nerdy about it. Although that is my favorite thing to do sometime. And these are not great scissors. I need to find some of my newer pairs. Because goodness knows I've got like 8 pairs of scissors. Okay, so then we're just going to pull this out. And then pull it out of here. It's a little messy, but what stamping things aren't, right? Okay, and didn't quite get enough out of here. And maybe we'll just use one of these this time because you can do that too. You don't have to double it. You can just use them in half and have twice as many bows for your ribbon purchase. Come on. Yikes. Okay, there we go. Makes a cute little ribbon. And it's much more in scale for these cards. The other is just a little too clunky for me. So that is it. A little glue dot. Put it on here. Put this on the inside. And then I will bring all the cards back in and you can see how so if you have good, sympathy sayings for the middle, always keep them because unfortunately they're very much needed. Let me move that. And then the cards we have made today. This one. And this one. So these follow the template, which I have now put someplace. Tell me which one's your favorite. And if you'd like to see some more of these card templates, let me know. I have fun doing them. If you'd like to see a certain stamp set used, let me know on that too. Thank you for viewing, and I hope to see you next week. Thanks. Bye.